evening, everyone, and welcome to the Monday, September 16th Town of Monroe Board meeting. We'll start with a motion to open up tonight's meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, so moved. Community announcements. I'm going to go through these, and then we have two others who are here. Legislator Pete Toohey's here, and Stacy McCleary is here from Souls for Souls. And then I have a quick announcement to make. So we got Monroe Village Farmers Market is still ongoing. It's on Sundays, and it goes from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., right? Yep. So if you chance, head down to the farmers market. It's behind Beck's in the commuter parking lot. The Monroe Free Library has a yard sale. That'll be Saturday, October 3rd. They're looking for vendors. Saturday, October 5th, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and that's their community yard sale.
I just said that the spots are $20 for a 6-foot spot. If you wanted an additional spot, it would be an extra $10. So it's a good price. Come on out, vendors.
And that one gets a lot of attention. A lot of people go to that one.
Okay, Smith Grove Park is holding adult yoga classes on Monday mornings from 11 to 12 from September 23rd to October 28th. It's a $10 registration fee for the 6-week session for Monroe residents, $20 for non-residents. You can register online at Smith's, that's S-M-I-T-H-S, clovepark.org, or call the park office at 845-783-9108. Okay. Stacy, something to speak? State your name. Can't hear?
Is the microphone
Okay,
switched on?
one sec. Is the microphone on?
George, are you getting stuff? It's on now? Okay.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I'll start over. Stacy McCleary, Monroe. I'm here on behalf of my daughter, Grace McCleary, and I'm reading a letter that she wrote to the town board as she is unfortunately back at college and was unable to be here this evening. I want to thank Supervisor Tony Cardone for allowing me to place a donation box at Town Hall along with Anne Marie Morris at the Senior Center, Mayor Dwyer at Village Hall, and Rosa at Better Lifestyle Club. I would also like to give a special thanks to Maddie and Jen at Harriman Army Navy for donating 80 pairs of brand new shoes right at the beginning of the summer. It was an encouraging way to start off the shoe drive. I am studying fashion sustainability at school, and when I heard about Souls for Souls shoe drives, I knew it was something I could get together and that my town would 100% participate in. I want to thank everyone who went out of their way to donate shoes this summer. In total, I collected 440 pairs of shoes. I know we can't always see the difference we are making, but I promise it is there. According to the U.S. Department of the Interior, Americans throw away at least 300 million pairs of shoes each year. These shoes end up in landfills, and they can take decades to even start decomposing. By donating your shoes, you're not only helping the environment, but you're helping people around the world have access to footwear and opportunities. I hope before throwing out your next pair of shoes or clothing items, you think about giving them another life, whether that means donating or repurposing them. Thank you, Grace McCleary.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When Grace comes back, could you let me know? I'd like to acknowledge her at a meeting
Oh, absolutely.
future meeting.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you
we
so
wanted
much.
to say to her, thank you for
No, she was
organizing
very
this
excited and
and
grateful.
being
She said,
involved.
thank you so much. And unfortunately, she could have been here, but it's hard for her to get back at this time. So,
Yeah,
but
no
I'll make
problem.
sure next time she's home.
It's going to go on through the holidays?
It's done.
it's stopped.
Oh, it's
she
done.
did it only through that time in August, but based on how well it did this summer, I think she's hoping to do it again next year and
Okay.
top what she did this year.
Okay,
So
good,
hopefully.
good.
Okay,
All right,
Thank
thank you,
Should I do
Stacy.
this with Valerie?
Yeah, please, thank you.
440 pairs
Yeah,
of shoes.
that's great.
And 80 of them from
Harriman Army Navy. They came in their original boxes.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not surprised.
Yeah. Legislator Tui. Thanks for being here tonight. Guys, his age.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to the board for having me tonight for a county update. And I'll try to be brief, but I have a lot here. Welcome to everyone in the audience tonight. The county continues in very good shape. During the legislators' joint Education and Economic Development and Ways and Means Committee meeting on July 15th, they were updated on the third-party audit of the county's 2023 financial position. The opinion of the auditors, PKF O'Connor Davies, was labeled as unmodified or clean, which confirms that the county's financial statements present a true and fair view of its financial position in accordance with the generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP, and is the highest opinion that can be given by a CPA firm. In addition, the county executive helps settle all open labor contracts with our unions and work closely with the county's economic development partners to continue to spur continued economic growth. Today, Orange County has its lowest property tax rate in over 50 years, the lowest debt in 10 years, and more efficient and productive workforce. Tourism continues to contribute to increased tax revenues for local municipalities, county, and state. The tourism industry in Orange County surged in 2023 as visitors' spending reached $1.2 billion, up 7.6% over the prior year, and generated approximately $162 million in local and state taxes. Just to give you an idea of some of the spending that's been up over 2023 and seems to be continuing in 2024 is, for instance, when we have all the visitors coming in, retail and service station, gas stations, it was $509 million. That was up 3.4% over the prior year. Food and beverage was $332 million, up 9% over the prior year. Lodging and hotels and such, $150 million, up 8.1%. And recreation, which continues to grow, was $37 million, and that was up 12%. Another priority for the county is land preservation and has been a priority, as recently shown with the Sugarloaf Mountain, where we were able to save that forever, and also the continued development for the Camp LaGuardia Rail Trail, which will connect in Chester, I think, over by Blooming Grove, and will go out to Cornwall, but it will connect to the Heritage Trail, so people from as far away as Cornwall and such can come over and hook up to the Heritage Trail, which I think is 24 miles. You know, I always like to call it, it's a 24-mile by 10-foot county park, you know. It's, and just along those notes, some of you that utilize it, the county is repairing bridges that lead up out west from Airplane Park, and the bridges there were wooden. They were getting in disrepair, so they're widening them and using concrete, and by widening it, I think there's 3 or 4 bridges. They should be completed, you know, the end of the year. You know, it may get stuck at the end of the year and continue a little bit more into the spring, but that will allow for emergency vehicles and first responders to transcend the trail. With regard to saving things, there's been quite a lot of talk about Museum Village, and the county is looking into finding a way to preserve Museum Village for generations to come. I spoke to the county executive today, and it's a great gem of Orange County that has brought the mid-1800s life alive to over 7 decades of elementary school children. It would be a great addition to the county park system because with the LaGuardia Trail and Heritage Trail, people could come by bike, by hiking, by walking, and utilize that as well on their way into Monroe. So hopefully that will come to fruition. And I spoke to many of my fellow legislators, and they all wholeheartedly endorse that. So it just came up recently regarding the situation with Museum Village. Like any other kind of deal, it takes due diligence. You need to look at it and figure out a way to make this happen. But I know that I'm sure that this board is all in favor of trying to preserve Museum Village for generations to come. So you'll be hearing more about that. Let's see. All right. Another hot topic, it's been a hot topic for over a decade, is Airplane Park and the odor. Working with the Orange County Department of Environmental Facilities and Services and municipalities for several years now, we studied, researched, and analyzed this problem, which goes back over 12 years at least, when nothing was ever done. Past mayors have come and gone, the odor was there, and nothing was able to get done. The issue stems from the fact that the village of South Blooming Grove and Chester's pump stations merged together into one pipe that passes through the village of Monroe. It was determined that the Chester pump station was using one system to treat the sewage, and the village of South Blooming Grove a different way to treat the sewage. The Orange County Department of Environmental Facilities and Services determined if both pump stations used oxygenation systems rather than different methods, the problem could be resolved. Since Chester already used an oxygenation system, the village of South Blooming Grove passed a resolution to bring a demonstration trailer to their site in order to test out an oxygenation system in conjunction with the Chester oxygenation system. This was at a time when, it was coming out of COVID, supply chain issues, different issues involved, but we finally were able to schedule to get this oxygenation trailer that came from, I think it was over by Chicago is where the company was, or new, and they came, and since Chester already used it, the village came and for the oxygenation test at their pumping station. The demonstration was a success. Hydrogen sulfide metered testing results. They were positive. They were within spec. Supervisor Cardone and I made visits to the site during the week that the demonstrations and tests were being done. In December of 2022, the village of South Blooming Grove passed a resolution authorizing the bonding of funds to purchase a new oxygenation system for their village sewer pump station. Since then, to date, there has been no movement forward. I, as well as the county's Department of EF&S staff and workers, have unceasingly acted in good faith with hope that the issue would be remediated. Unfortunately, I'm unable to speak to the motives, intentions, or desires of the village of South Blooming Grove officials in addressing this matter in a meaningful way. And that's my report. If you have any questions, I'm glad to take them.
I have,
Good, go ahead.
so for Museum Village, I brought a certain motion in response to, their call to action as a board member, and I was extremely happy to have the county engage on the conversation, and I'm glad that you're here to speak on it. I went to the call to action. It was really educational. I think Director Jamie Robinson and I, are really looking to sit down and hash out with yourself or whatever legislators
I
overseeing it.
received an email from Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
And I'm trying to, I think the chairwoman was away, but I put in several calls to her and hope to hear back from her this week regarding a time and date when we can sit down with Mr. Robinson.
Yes, because I think many of us all agree that it is absolutely a value to the community, but we're all coming to the table with different ideas of how we're going to preserve it. And to go directly to the press with this, we'll buy it for $1 offer. They are a museum that has to cater first to their collection. And they are in grant talks with State Senator Skoufis that have been going on for months, and they are building a new collection space, and they are trying to alert.
At Museum Village, they're building a new collection space?
Yes,
Okay.
it's what they put out as a call to action is so that community members, if they reached the end of that 3-month funding, that we wouldn't say, oh, what a shame, Museum Village is closed, and we didn't have a chance. Like, how, if anyone living in Monroe and in Orange County has driven past something that is closed, it's always been this sad surprise when something is knocked down, and they wanted to engage with the community and be transparent on that. So I think we need to hash out directly with Jamie, and he's so thrilled that everyone is showing such a intense appreciation, but he has a very clear vision that he's been working with people like, again, State Senator Skoufis was able actually to speak
This
with
is going to
directly.
take a lot of people to make this happen.
Yes, and that grant is going to go a long way towards building that new space, which is going to be vital in preserving a collection that actually has not been able to be displayed, and would be very overwhelming to the county for management, considering the other statuses of museums under the county's care, and then the amount of staffers in the historian's office at the county. So I've reached out to, the county historian on this. Jamie has talked with the Parks Department, and I think this is a great start, but, saying that, we're gonna buy it for $1, he wants to be clear, he's not going to accept that, as is. That's not
Like
the
any
solution.
deal, it needs to be due diligence.
Yes,
You need to look and
a
see what's on the
feasibility.
books.
Yeah.
Also, the thing is that Museum Village, from what I understand, is not the most ADA accessible.
Yes.
So the thing is
1.2
that our
million.
county parks we have an ongoing program for years. And every year we're updating more and more of our parks. Most of all of them are, if not all of them, are totally ADA accessible. So, we have to look and see what their book's like. Look. Hey,
I think
I don't
to
know
do
if
right by the
if you're
tax-
saying that $1 doesn't fly now.
It's because the land is their real equity, and while they want to give to the community and have charitably given and educationally given to this area for so many years, they need to have that asset to protect the actual collection. So, and to do our due diligence by the taxpayers, even if we subsume this and assume this responsibility for $1, how much will it cost us? I would like to request
That's what we need to know,
a
what
feasibility
it takes
study.
to get that park
Yeah.
into a good shape where
Yeah.
it's safe for everybody,
And that it would
accessible to everyone.
continue running, and that it would be well managed, and maybe there's a hybrid situation where they would independently manage it, and there's so many different avenues to be explored, so that we don't want people to think that this offer by the county ends the conversation.
It's not a done deal. That
Yeah.
was thrown out in the
Yeah.
press, and I don't know where that number came from.
Yeah.
It could have come from the county exec. We just bought the Old Chester High School for $1 to preserve that.
There are
and
certain
make that-
properties where
So the thing is
that's
that those
good.
type of deals do happen, but I'm
Yes.
not privy to what any kind of negotiations were for
Right.
dollars of it.
No, so, there's samples or examples where that is the best opportunity that you have, but in this case, because of the plans for the future, the grants for the collection space, the vision,
Upkeep.
we want to open the conversation.
Upkeep, employees,
Yeah,
insurance.
we want to know what we'd be
all
getting
that.
ourselves into,
That's all the
assuming it at
information
the
that has
county
to
level.
unfold, though.
Yeah.
Councilwoman, all that information has to come out
Yes,
and be researched.
And I think that information is best shared between the county and Museum Village.
Yes.
Excuse me?
I think that information is best shared between the county and Museum Village. I mean,
He
the rest of
asked
us would
me-
love to see the
Yeah.
absolute best thing happen for it, but we can speculate here all we want.
But it's not
But all that-
speculation. I'm asking on
I
behalf of,
I
from
understand
my
that,
liaison
but I think-
position
but I-
to sit down.
But I think we have,
I'm glad
I-
the
I-
talks,
I
I'm
think
glad that
there's-
the talks
there's a
are
ton-
starting, you know?
Yes.
And that the discussion is there. That- I
and,
mean,
and we're,
I'm-
and we're
I'm-
starting that.
I'm
And
happy
nothing's
with
going to be
little things.
decided this week, this month, this year.
No, it took close to a year to close Sugarloaf Mountain.
Yep.
And, you know, I'm not going to speculate on the timeline or anything like that.
And the rail
but-
trail integration and all of the tourism
the
opportunities
integration
are
is fabulous.
wonderful. So, I mean, he's just asked me to pass that along and publicly announce that, you know, in no way does that, the county's offer say that we still don't need help from everyone who's willing to give it. That's not the end of the conversation. We're
It's-
looking for a time
it's
to
gonna take a lot of
collaborate
hands.
with you. Yeah.
gonna take a
It's
lot
not a
of
done
hands.
deal.
Absolutely, Councilwoman. Any other questions or anything? No. Okay, great. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Stay
Pete.
safe, okay? Be good.
Just to add to that,
Unfortunately, I have another meeting. to
yeah,
attend.
so go right ahead.
But did you have
Legislator
something
Tui.
that this concerns?
No, I was just going to say that, you know, county executive Supervisor Geralman and myself did do a tour over on Museum Village the Thursday after. We provided them with a support letter from the town board, and there are a lot of aspects that really need to be discussed between the county and Museum Village.
And the
So-
entity that owns it. You know,
Yeah,
And like I said, I'm happy that the talks have gotten to this stage of at least speaking to each other
Yeah.
and trying to figure something out, you know? Because like I said, we have a lot of county parks, but this would be probably the most unique one.
Yeah.
We got a mastodon down there. We
Yeah.
got all sorts of stuff.
Apparently, it's going to take around $250,000 just to keep that fixed in the display position and preserved. So there's a lot that goes into this.
Well, I haven't seen those estimates, and I'm not going to speculate, but first things first, we have to do things in certain order. But again, thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Be safe.
Thank you, Legislator Tui.
Thanks, Pete.
Take care. Okay, next up is item 4.1. I'll make a motion to open the continuation of the public hearing regarding zone change petition Larkin Drive, SPL 2-1-29.
Poole, second.
Call the question.
Aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Here's aye.
No public comment.
So moved.
Good evening. My name is John First. I'm an attorney at Catania Mann and Ryder. We represent the applicant Larkin Drive LLC, or actually in this case, the petitioner. As you know, they're petitioning to rezone about 10 acres around Larkin Drive from light industrial to heavy industrial. I think this is the third public hearing before the town board. Since the last public hearing in August, we have received the county's comments. They said it was a matter of local concern. In fact, they had no objection, and they noted that the proposed rezone would be consistent with the area. Also, I think at the last meeting, there were some questions regarding the tenants. So I do have some more information about tenants. They have not been signed on yet, but my client has been approached by 2 regional retailers. They already have locations in Rockland, Nassau County, Brooklyn, Sullivan County, Westchester, Northern Jersey. These 2 retailers have asked my client to build stores specific to their needs regarding the layout, the loading zones, and the capacity. They sell specialty and seasonal items. The existing space in the area that may be vacant doesn't fit their current needs. It doesn't fit their needs at all, so that's why they're asking. They've actually reached out to my clients to get this space built on their behalf. It's a larger scale retail. It won't compete with any of the retail within the village center. The comp plan does call for opening up and expanding the town's tax base. This rezone will provide this vacant parcel with some more flexibility to allow the retail. It's an underutilized property. It hasn't been developed under the existing zoning. I imagine it's at least been 10 years, if not more, that it's been zoned LI. And so we're hoping, again, that this rezone will allow these two specific retailers to come in and put up these specific stores.
Who are the retailers?
I can certainly give you the names offline. I don't want to say
Okay,
it in public.
that's fine.
But
Understood.
I can certainly provide the names to your attorney and confidential.
That's
Because
fine.
obviously, if somebody else has a piece of property, they could reach out to the retailers and say,
Yeah.
hey, what
I
about
get
my
it.
piece?
Totally understand.
So,
And
yeah.
the space you were talking about that didn't fit their needs was the upper portion by Target,
Yeah, the
RD
Best Buy. I
Management,
think
Best
there
Buy.
weren't enough loading zones, from my understanding, and just the layout of the stores
Okay.
didn't fit their needs.
No, I just said that for clarification, so
Mm-hmm.
people knew what they were looking at. Thank you.
Right. And if, I have the engineer here, Mike Morganti is here, if you guys
Sure.
have more questions on the site plan.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're here for any questions, comments, concerns.
We're
move forward.
just waiting for comments from our planner
Okay,
regarding it. I believe he was forwarded, letter forwarded to him today? Okay, from the county.
Okay.
So he's going to be reviewing it. Obviously, there's not a lot to review, but he is reviewing the actual site and the request.
okay, great.
So-
Does the board members have any additional comments or concerns? We just
I-
want to make sure.
Well, I do have one. Did you- go ahead.
I was glad to hear that it would not compete with any of the village, Monroe Village or Harriman
Correct.
Village, any of those retail
Yeah, the
establishments.
sizes we're proposing are much bigger than what you would see in a village setting.
Okay, thank you.
Question is, know what the height of the building is?
Oh, no, we're working right now solely with the building footprint, but we'll make
Okay.
sure that we keep it compliant with whatever the zoning code is that's required. We'll do the best we can in that aspect.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Well, that was, now that you brought it up, the difference between the LI and the HI is like 10 feet. I understand with these big box stores or retail establishments, they like the higher
Correct, the taller
because
height,
of
yes.
the HVAC and those kind of things. Is that true? They need the height of the building?
I don't know if they need it necessarily, I mean, because whether you have a 20, 30, or 40-foot tall building, if you have a flat roof, you can hide your HVAC on top of that roof and a parapet no matter what. I think it probably comes down more to that particular leasee of that space. What do they need for their operations? I don't think it's so much an HVAC issue.
Excited to hear who the retailers are that are interested. Looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
I can certainly email your attorney.
That's fine.
And
Yeah, we don't have to hear tonight. You can
Write
email.
them
Confidential.
down on a paper and seal it in an envelope, and then we'll all take bets, right? That's how we usually do it. He's gonna write it down, seal it in an envelope, we're gonna all take bets on who it is, and then you get to award whoever wins.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
again,
just
they're
email
not
Brian.
signed on, so we don't have a binding contract with
Right,
these
but
folks.
there's interest.
But there's interest, yeah, which
Yes,
is
no,
good.
they actually reached out to us.
Good.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you guys being here.
Just for the planner, so is he going to issue the memo to the board, and then we'll get a copy of that?
Yes,
at
he'll
some
do that,
point?
issue it to the board, and then we'll get you a
Are we
copy
going
of
to
it.
continue to October's
We're going to
meeting?
continue to October 7th,
Great, okay.
all right?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll make a motion to keep open the continuation of the public hearing regarding the zone change petition for Larkin Drive, SBL 2-1-29 at 7 PM or immediately thereafter on October 7th, 2024.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cool, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, so moved. All right, thank you, guys.
Good night, guys.
Aye.
All right, next up is the resolution regarding the public hearing bonding for the Water District Number 1 improvements. Now, council, since the public hearing was scheduled for this evening, which we're going to cancel and reschedule, Should I do that first, or should I read the bonding for the improvements first? Okay.
Mine's, I would cancel the public hearing, and then you can just set the new date
Okay.
on that. But the order, I mean, other than canceling it, after that, it's up to you.
Okay. All right, so I'd like to make a motion to cancel this evening's public hearing for Water District Number 1 and reschedule it for October 21st, 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. So before I go into the resolution of this, so our bonding agent had suggested, because of the anticipated increase from 1.1 million to about 1.5, 1.6 million, that would not be proper for the residents to have everything under that guise that we've done already. The good thing about it is, Councilwoman Bingham, John Mulligan, our water guru, and Pat Patterson, our highway superintendent, we had a meeting last week with our engineers, and they've come up with a plan based on still providing those improvements that would keep it at around 1.1 or 1.2 million. Am I correct in saying that?
It was, I believe it was a little bit below that even.
Okay.
It could come in a little bit below that with what we came up with.
Okay. The reason around that is there's a precast building that is available. I'm assuming some of the people back there are from, okay. Yeah, I saw a couple concerned, sad faces when I said we were canceling, I'm sorry. But it's a prefab building that will wrap around the actual construction, but I'll let John Mulligan and Pat Patterson discuss some of the details of that.
So I'm going to start off by thanking Councilwoman Bingham, Supervisor Cardone, and John, especially John. John has worked really hard, and we've done our due diligence on trying to come up with ways to save the residents of Water District 1 money. It's not that we want to do it. It's not that we want your taxes or water rates to go up. It's that we kind of have to do it. We found the last time that plant was upgraded was 1982. We found paperwork on today. The original we're thinking was the early 60s is when it was built. It's lived past its time, as our homes do. You know, it's time to remodel them, but this is more mechanical. There's a lot of things in there that need to be brought up to speed in there to provide good potable water for you residents that you deserve. I'm going to let John go into more of the details on it, but we've worked hard with this, with Supervisor and Councilwoman Bingham on this, and Magui, Hauser, and Etzel. They've been really helpful to us on this. And this last plan, I think, is going to be really advantageous for Water District 1 users. So I'll turn it over to John Mulligan. And John, thank you
Good
for
evening,
coming.
everybody. What I'd like to say is that we're looking at upgrading the current booster station for Water District Number 1, and with the improvements would be removing the current building that's there and putting a precast building behind where the current building is. And with that, we'll have new pumps in it. It will have a generator. So if you get a catastrophic storm or lightning strike, you will have the ability to have your water during these power outages that you probably don't have right now, or I should say you don't have right now. Another thing that we're doing is we're putting in a filtration system for disinfection byproducts to purify the water better than it already is. The other thing that you may be experiencing now and from time to time is inconsistent pressures in your home. With the new pump station, you'll have better water pressure. That's what our hopes are. As Pat had said, inside the current building right now, there's a lot of Band-Aids on the equipment that's in there, and it's coming to its life's end. And that being said, this is necessary to do this project in the near future. Pat, you have anything you want to add?
So with this new building, it's another reason why it's great. You all see where that building is located. It's right on the road. So right on the road means salt in the wintertime. The salt has deteriorated the inside of that building and the outside. The runoff from the water, it floods the building. We've had pipes freeze inside because of the layout and where the building is. As we just want to, and we're excited to give you good potable water. Also, there's another thing that we've been dealing with. It's called PFAS. PFAS is something that we have no control over. You might have it in your house if you ever had Teflon tape put in your house. That's part of PFAS. We have to do testing for PFAS now, and these filters will also cover in case there is any PFAS coming into the water district. The filters will take care of that and our disinfection byproducts. So again, another positive. And this PFAS is very, very lightly detected in a lot of water things. That it comes from the ground. It can come from any place, but we want to be sure that we don't have this on the construction of the building and make sure that you're well protected on it. And I will tell you, just like I told Mr. Shaw, anybody that has any questions at any time, sometimes if I'm away, it's hard to get a hold of me, but we will schedule time to sit down and talk. Myself, John, anybody in the water district that has any concern that wants to come down to the office, and we'll have a conversation about it. We'll tell you what we're doing. We're honest, and we're not going to hide it. We want to do what's best for you. I have a
Provide you
well.
with the best quality water we
Right.
can. That's the end of the story.
So.
You know, another thing I want to point out as far as this building, you know, right now it's a concrete structure. There's no insulation in this building whatsoever. You know, and you have water, and you know, and during the winter when you get freezing temperatures and it drops down to the negatives, then you know you have problems. You have pipes freezing up. The equipment doesn't work right. You know, and that's basically what you're up against. So again, we had just this past winter where the system froze up, and I had to run out and get portable heaters to put in the building there just to get things thawed out. You know, the building itself is not properly ventilated. That's another issue we have, because when you have these pumps running the way they do in the summertime, sometimes they run and run and run, and what you have is your temperature inside the building gets warmer, and then your equipment gets warmer, which, you know, basically could cause these pumps to prematurely fail. So these are some other things that, you know, I've noticed, and, you know, again, it's my recommendation that it should be done. It's time.
You're welcome to speak during public comment at the end of the meeting. So if you didn't sign up, don't worry about it. You're welcome to speak then. Okay?
I just wanted to say, too, the Magui House, our engineer, did come up with this prefab, precast building idea, and it makes a lot more sense than trying to squeeze everything into the existing cinder block concrete building. And as technology changes, as I mentioned at the last meeting, 2 years ago, the technology was not there. The technology has changed with the filters, and we want to provide the best, cleanest water for everybody to drink. So that's another reason that a new building, a prefab building, is actually a better scenario now.
It's built to the new footprint of what...
John, speak into the mic, please.
Oh, it's built to the new building's footprint. So it's not trying to put an addition onto an addition onto an addition. It's going to be built properly from the word go.
And it's less expensive than doing one in-house. The one that we have already, I think my mic just...
Weren't supposed to touch the buttons.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to read the resolution for canceling everything and moving forward.
Oh, can I just make a comment about Water District 1 before we do that? I have been getting a lot of response from Pat Ryan, Congressman Pat Ryan's office, saying that many of our constituents who came to the public hearing and who live in the district have been reaching out to his office to ask for grants. And I just wanted to clarify on their behalf, while they're happy always to deal with constituents, that those questions be directed to us, to Councilwoman Bingham, and the town of Monroe successfully put through an application for federal year 25 already. I think it was 3.9 million.
That was for Water District 14.
Yes, Water District 14. And that is how his and federal congressional funding works, where we just do one large project at the priority of the town and the board, not in the same mechanism as people are used to with like local and state officials for grants. They don't have discretionary funding. So while they're, happy to support us with a letter, anything that they could be a resource, it doesn't work like that. But again, any questions that you have, please feel free to reach out for us. And, he's going to be a resource for us, and his office is, great help. But we won't be seeking funding for this project at this time through that office.
Okay. Bill Jackson, our bonding counsel, asked me to read this. So be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe, Section 1, the order of the town board of the town of Monroe, Orange County, New York, adopted July 15, 2024, calling for a public hearing for the increase and improvements of facilities of Water District Number 1 pursuant to Section 202-B of the town is hereby rescinded. Section 2, the town clerk is hereby ordered to cancel and withdraw any and all further publication of the public hearing and to take necessary and appropriate measures consistent with the intent of this resolution. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect immediately. So I need a second for that.
Trimble, second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Full aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, so we have rescheduled it for October 21st. MHE has also stated that they will have maps, plans, and reports totally completed, and we'll at that point. One other note for your area. So we were speaking with a contractor for the house on that was vacant for years on 26. I think it's not 26, 24, I think it is. We were going to have the trees cut down. I was actually going to initiate that process on Thursday of last week, and we found out that it has been sold. So hopefully somebody is occupying that in the near future, and it doesn't look like, I'm sorry to say, a pigsty, because it does. And those trees are affecting the neighbors in the back and on both sides. So while we're on water, just a quick statement here. There's been a lot of rumors and innuendos and misrepresentations from a meeting that we had with the village where I spoke on well number 4. Well number 4 is not in our oversight. It's in the village's oversight. We have been getting testing for chloride and sodium, and there is at times a minor spike from what it originally was prior to the salt shed being installed by the village of Kirish Joel in the town of Monroe on property that has a tributary that runs toward and over well number 4.
That's a false claim.
Excuse me, I'm not done. The water is drinkable. It's not a health issue, and the mayor has confirmed that with me. And I just wanted everybody out there to know that.
I would like to follow up that all of the evidence suggests that the level has not spiked beyond naturally occurring or what could be considered naturally occurring. We have data from before the salt shed was installed there. And while it does not belong there, and that is an issue in and of itself, all of the actual data, the historical data, which I've taken the liberty of sourcing and graphing to assuage the public that their drinking water is not being affected by that entity or inappropriately or outside the bounds of what the Department of Health considers a completely average drinking water quality of this area. In 2006, the data is actually higher than the results we're seeing now. In 2018, it's higher than what we're seeing now. All of the results after the salt shed was installed are all lower than some results we achieved while there was no salt shed located there. And in the future, if we could come together as a board and have this data sourced before we make those claims, I think that would be the responsible thing to do, because drinking water is a very serious issue and the data does not lie. And I'm happy to share this spreadsheet that I made with all of you.
Just to back that up, I did get the reports from the Village of Monroe, and I did speak to Mayor Dwyer. We did have the results from 2018 to present, and there are seasonal variations, but as Councilwoman Richardson said, there have been no health concerns. Everything's within the parameters. So just so everybody knows, if you want more information, please contact the Village of Monroe. That is their well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. Item 4.4, I'll make a motion to reopen the public hearing regarding local law H-V1 of 2022 to amend Chapter 57 zoning concerning the regulations governing tree preservation.
Who will second?
Second that, I'm sorry.
Mary.
Mary. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Whole aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, so moved.
No public comment.
No public comment. Dennis called and said he couldn't be here this evening, so I guess we'll hold over until October. That's 3 weeks, so we'll hold over to October 7th, 2024. So I'll make a motion to keep open the public hearing for local law H-V1 of 2022 to amend Chapter 57 concerning regulations governing tree preservation to October 7th, 2024 at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
Who will second?
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Whole aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Okay. Madam Clerk?
I have the tentative 2025 town budget to present to the board.
Okay. Keep in mind, like I say every year, this is tentative. There are considerable cuts that have to be made in it, and there will be considerable cuts. I've met with just about every department, meeting with Smith Clove Park tomorrow, and hopefully the ambulance either later in the week or next week. But pretty much every other department has been, there's been interaction with myself and them. Okay.
Supervisor, do we need a resolution to accept the tentative budget, or no? It's just a presentation.
You don't have to. You certainly can if you want.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the tentative budget
Second.
for 2025, sorry.
She handed it so beautifully to me. It was great.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Whole aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay.
I'd just like to ask a question. When should the library be here? Because they have that separate presentation. Do we have is
I
it
have
60
not,
days before?
I have not heard from Amanda, so
Okay.
I'll reach out to her again tomorrow.
Okay.
And then the other big ticket item on there is the fire district is still in meetings to finalize their budget, which they usually do by the end of September, so. Okay. We need to set a public hearing date for the 2025 town budget and benefit assessment rolls. I'd like to propose that we set it on October 7th, 2024 at 7 PM or immediately thereafter.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, I.
Okay, item 4.8 is a motion, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe made a motion to set a public hearing date authorizing a property tax levy in excess of the limit established by General Municipal Law 3C for October 7th, 2024 at 7 PM or soon thereafter.
Poole will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, I.
Okay, and just so everybody's clear, we do that every year, whether we go over or not. It just protects us if we do go over, because if we don't do that, then what'll happen is we're legally bound to go back to this budget that was presented tonight, which represents over a 40% increase in both municipalities, which we don't want to do, so, and won't do. So, any other questions? Nope, okay. 5.1 is the acceptance of the September 3rd, 2024 minutes. I'll make a motion to accept them.
I'll second.
Any questions, corrections? Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, I.
So moved. Item 6.1 is the general fund abstract under the audit of claims. And that is, make a motion that the town board of Town of Monroe approve abstract 24-12 of the general fund containing checks 35684 through 35732, totaling $507,055.87.
Will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, I.
So moved. Item 6.2 is an escrow fund abstract. Be it resolved that the town board of Town of Monroe approve abstract 24-05 escrow fund containing checks 2157 through 2162, totaling $16,827.14. I'll make that motion.
Poole will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, I.
Okay. Next up, item 7.1 is a budget transfer abstract. Be it resolved that Town Board of Town of Monroe approves budget transfer abstract 2024-16 regarding the 2024 expenditure adjustments totaling $21,450.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, I.
Okay. Item 8.1 is a resolution approving the use of O&R Park for the Town of Monroe Food Truck Festival on Saturday, October 19th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
I just had a question before we did we pick a benefactor of the proceeds yet?
Yes, and we will discuss that in executive session.
Okay, and aye.
Call,
That's just me finishing my vote, and Richardson, aye.
okay. Item 8.2 is an agreement for ATM services for the Town of Monroe Food Truck Festival. Councilwoman Houle, I need you to make that motion for me to sign that general agreement.
So I would like to make a motion that we authorize the supervisor to sign the general agreement pertaining to the ATM and merchant services for the Town of Monroe Food Truck Festival on October 19th, 2024.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Question?
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, so moved. Next up, item 8.3, Caroline Steinhauer. She has applied for the assessors clerk position, so we need a resolution, which I will make. I need a second, approving Caroline Steinhauer for the position of assessors clerk at a starting salary of $43,860 and a start date of September 30th, 2024. Caroline qualified for this position through the Orange County Certified List of Eligibles, examination number 85288, assessors clerk off the Orange County General List.
Poole will second.
Call the question.
Aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Next up is the resignation of Marcy Daniel from the ZBA. I'll make a motion, be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe made a motion to approve the resignation of Marcy Daniel, Zoning Board of Appeals, effective immediately. I need a second.
I'll second.
Just a little quick, Marcy stepped up, and this was, I think, 3 years ago. I ran into her in, I think it was Home Depot. I had coached her son in Pop Warner, and she asked if there's anything she could do. We had a vacancy, and I said, if you want, you can be appointed to the ZBA. Call me back an hour later, and she served us very well. She's taken a new job, which is taking her time away from her, and I think it increased her travel time a little bit. So I just want to personally thank Marcy for stepping up at a time when we were in need. So call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye. And do we need to make a motion to notice the vacancy?
No. Okay. Item 8.5, Zoning Board of Appeals appointment. I'll make a motion to appoint Zach Murphy to slot number 5, ZBA, with a term to expire 12/31/2027. Zach is currently serving on the Zoning Board of Appeals as alternate number 1, with a term to expire 12/31/2024. So I'll make that motion. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Item 8.6 is, you want to talk about it when I get to it? It's the recycling partnership? Okay. So item 8.6 is the recycling partnership grant. And it's a program for this year, which will help us through next year. So go ahead, Highway Superintendent Patterson.
So as everybody has probably seen, that our recycling has really stepped up. Angelina really, she's like an all-star baseball player that's always hitting the ball out of the park. She's been researching tipper. Instead of having the little green bins that everybody has for their recycling, she's been searching really hard for the tippers, like the toters with the lids on them, that you'll be able to pull to the curb. They're a little bit bigger, and we won't have to pay for extra tipping fees because your cat food cans or your Hellman's jars or whatever are filled with water when it rains, and your newspapers are wet, whatever the case may be. So she's been actively looking for this, and we're excited to say that we finally found a grant, and just everybody just keep your fingers crossed that it comes through, because it's a lot of money to have a tipper for every household here in the town of Monroe. So we're working hard to try and secure this.
I'm going to make a motion for the town board to accept applying for the Recycling Partnership Residential Curbside Recycling Cart Grants Program for 2024.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Can I just ask Pat one question? What's the name of that app that Angelina got for the
Recycle
garbage?
Coach, right?
It's Recycle Coach.
And I would like people to sign up for that app, because it's a real benefit when people have a doubt when there's a holiday, when is their garbage being picked up, when are the recycles being picked up, and it has a fun question every now and then too.
Correct, and again, like you said, the holiday schedule, it throws everybody off. But if you have that app, it'll alert you, you can go on it, you can search it, and today or yesterday we asked Supervisor Cardone if Angelina could set up at the Food Truck Festival with literature with the help from Orange County trying to push recycling here in the town of Monroe. So, and please be alert for our electronics shredding recycle day that Val, I'm sure, will touch base on in the near future.
It's going to be November 2nd at the Highway Garage from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Okay. Full question on it?
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Well, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Item 8.8,
7.
I'm sorry, 8.7, Public Sector HR Professional Services Agreement.
Yep. So we have a motion here. I'd like to make a motion authorizing the supervisor to sign the 2025 Professional Services Agreement with Public Sector HR for Human Resource Consulting Services. The fee for Human Resources Consulting Services, as set forth in scope of services above, is $9,600 per annum, to be billed at the rate of $2,400 each calendar quarter.
Second for discussion.
Sure.
In January, we approved them 7,000. Now it's going up to 9,600. That's a 37% increase.
The answer?
Yes, I'd like an answer.
So that increase was proposed last December after we approved our budget. So I asked HR Public Sector that we maintain the current contract rate because our budget's already approved. They agreed. They said they'll move it forward. This contract started in the early 2000s at $5,000, and they estimated that at about 2011, the rate was $7,000. They have not had an increase since then. So I personally, you kept your rate at 7,000 for maybe 13 or 14 years. I don't have a problem with it.
Did we ever consider putting out a request for proposals to compare?
I don't think that would be prudent right now, especially with the amount of issues she's currently dealing with and her husband are currently dealing with. The amount
of work that they're doing.
Work issues, complaints that
Her
they're dealing with.
husband?
It's Ronnie and her husband run the business.
Okay. I don't know what that has to do with, like, getting the best cost for constituents from our HR services. I mean, from personal experience, I'm experiencing strange gaps in service that have never been explained to me, odd ways where we pay, and this could be completely normal, but I would like to investigate other alternatives, and certainly with the cost, we have an HR representative who is also the supervisor's confidential secretary, and it's an appointed position, and then it's like if there's a complaint, an employee or even an elected official has to complain to that individual, and if she has a relationship to an individual where the complaint is a conflict of interest, has to recuse herself. And so I'm actually wondering at this point, what percentage of complaints is she able to address, and do we need to take a closer look at defining
Who is she?
more roles? I said the RHR representative. I said that.
Not, so coming from HR with the county, the confidential secretary is not the HR representative. She's the one who handles the HR applications and the HR issues, but she's doing it with the backing of public sector HR.
I was told it was a dual position, that she was both things.
No, and her HR responsibilities refer mainly to advising new employees, dealing with their applications, dealing with their benefits, dealing with...
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But to have a complaint from either an employee or anyone go through that individual instead of directly to the consulting service, that should, A, be clearly defined in our handbook. And she did tell me that anything, that I reviewed in the handbook that was given, that it's a living document, that we're working on it with public sector. And how it was described to me was that public sector was mainly those that designed that code book, that handbook, and that she was the one essentially who was our human resource agent, and that everything goes through her. So I'm just wondering, with the new dynamics and this charge, wouldn't it be prudent to evaluate that stipend, I'm assuming that that position receives, and get a request for proposals from a company that we could just interact with directly, where we would not need sort of this, and we would have more of a, defined, as you said, orientations, healthcare issues that go to our on-site resource agent, and then actual workplace complaints would be, I assume, processed directly, potentially, with other consulting firms. That's just how I have known this kind of thing to work at other locations, but.
So you have experience with filing complaints with HR?
You want to talk about?
I don't think it's smart for us to change our HR person when we are in the midst of investigations. I think it's in our best interest, in the town's best interest, in the taxpayers' best interest, to continue with the organization that's been working very hard, most recently, to deal with HR complaints.
Very hard. Okay, there's 2 complaints, and
I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty.
I don't either, and I'm saying
what your issues are. We have a motion before us.
Well, I've said that I'd like us to consider the actual costs and put out a request for a proposal from other agencies to determine if this is the responsible thing for the taxpayer. I mean, you just voiced that we want to do the responsible thing for the taxpayer.
We don't need to put out a request for proposal because these are professional services.
How many other firms do the exact same professional service but offer more tailored services to what?
If you want to look into it, look into it.
Okay.
That's fine. Call the question.
Bingham, nay.
So, hold on, I need to go back to this motion
All right.
now. So the resolution was to authorize the supervisor to sign this agreement. So if we are going to entertain looking into, this would be for the 2026. Okay,
25.
okay.
2026, right?
Okay, so
2026,
you're actually
yeah.
just saying, no, you're going to sign this for 2025, and if I look into it, then it would actually be for the following
year.
count. That's not, that's kind of a misleading statement. I thought this was like when you said about the IT services, that if, Mary had a comment which you would have gone and attended to. You just kind of made it sound like if we find a firm that actually fits what I've described, that we would be able to
I didn't say
switch
that. You
services.
said that.
No, I'm saying that's what was implied there.
But the idea actually makes sense. We continue with this HR firm to deal with the issues that we're currently dealing with so that we don't have to start over from scratch. And during that time, you can take a look at
This is for the 2025
Yes, so
cycle.
that we can work it into our budget. The longer it takes for you to look into these companies and for us to amend the budget, we might not be able to get it in time, and then we won't have this contract with this group of people who has already started looking into issues dealing with employees here. Right? So they've started to do a significant amount of work. We'd like for them to continue doing that work. And if we switch to a different consulting company, they're going to have to start all over again.
That's a waste.
I
That's a
haven't
waste.
seen, I've not seen a quality service from this at all. They've been completely absent, have not responded to complaints in a timely manner, and I personally
You haven't responded to them,
no,
is what I'm understanding.
not the case at all. I asked for help from these people for months, so.
Okay, let's call the question. Mary?
Bingham, nay.
Stancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, nay.
Okay, so moved. Request for the return, it's item 8.9 of 8.8, sorry. It's a separation of service. So this is an issue that HR Public Sector has been handling for about 12 months, and they've been doing it very diligently with Council Brian Nugent. So without naming names, because we're going to discuss it in executive session, be it resolved that the town supervisor, well,
I'll read it.
yeah,
So I make a motion that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to commence the separation of service process on a town employee known to the town via Civil Service Section 71 and 73 to take any and all necessary actions to effectuate the separation process. Be it further resolved that if a hearing is requested, the town board authorize the retention of William Sherwood as hearing officer on the terms presented to the town board. A second?
Second.
Discussion. I've been given absolutely no details on this individual.
executive session.
I've been given
did. I emailed it
absolutely
to the
no
entire board.
details
I saw
on
it.
Yeah, I
this
thought you
I
did
saw
too.
it.
situation.
The
I
name-
saw your
the name
email and it
was in the
contained no
email.
details except for what is here. It's completely void.
No,
of
no,
the
there were
I have not-
details
Can
on
you
that.
stop? I'm just voicing my statement, and
That's
there's really
fine.
no need to turn and try to manage my opinion, and you can voice yours on your own time, please.
No, I'll voice mine during the town board meeting after you finish voicing yours. Go ahead.
Yes.
I will wait.
On your own time to
wait.
speak.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So I haven't been given a report, and if we're going to discuss this in executive session, I feel that that motion should be made after executive session so that we would all be informed and able to vote.
We're beginning the process. That's all we're doing by this motion.
Sure, but shouldn't we
beginning
just
the
do that
process.
after we come out of executive session?
Not necessarily. Counsel, you want to comment on it?
Again, I sent an email to the board, explained, it's a very, I can discuss the process because we're not identifying the employee, but if an employee is out on workers' compensation on an injury for a year or more, they're subject to separation from service. That's pretty much it. There's no.
They're subject, yes,
What?
it's an option.
Yeah.
But I do not possess any details to determine if that's how I would choose, because it is subjective.
Vote no.
But why would we not discuss the details in executive session so that we can
Right.
vote informed?
Just so we're clear, this isn't
We're not
anything
firing
to do
the
with
employee.
merits of the employee or
No,
anything else. It's a
but
civil service process.
It's a
So
subjective motion
I don't know how it's
based
subjective.
on,
They're
you just
either-
said they are subject.
No, the only thing is
You're
they're.
deciding that that's
No,
the
no,
ultimate.
we're not. They're either out for a year on workers' comp or they're not.
Right.
Yes.
That's not
So,
subjective.
but obviously there are cases where it continues
Can I interject?
beyond a year.
Can I interject?
If it's a
Well, if you want to keep
subjective.
them, then you would vote against the motion, sure.
But I don't know. That is what I'm saying.
But again-
This is against all common sense.
Just a second?
It's very simple.
I may have an
How
answer
is
for
it
you.
simple?
I may have an answer for you. According to civil service law,
I've read it. I understand it.
so this is the
Obviously-
first step for civil service law in order for us to.
What if I wanted to keep him on the employee? I don't know.
He's on a
And
workers'
no.
comp.
And you would vote
The
against.
Just vote no.
investigation that we'll do
And I
based on this
don't-
measure is what's going to lead to the information that we could discuss in executive session at a later time. All this says is we are going to look
Commence
into.
the separation of service process.
I'll just say this to the board. I would not recommend that civil service separations be based on who the employee is. It's a process that would take place. So
But it's
that's
a
what you want to discuss.
situational, I don't know who the employee is. I'm saying if there's a situation wherein it continues beyond this, I just am not informed about it. Why?
Okay, duly noted. Call the question, please.
Bingham, aye.
Stancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, nay.
Okay. Request for the return of unused escrow funds, Walton Terrace Agreement. There's some discussion here for the request of the return of the unused escrow funds from the dedication agreement that was made regarding Walton Terrace. Highway Superintendent Pat Patterson.
So in that agreement, there was, they left some escrow on the table so we can chip seal that road. That road has been chip sealed, and we used half of the money, so we would like to return the other half to them.
Okay,
I
so
believe
the-
it's right around $4,000.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think I know they put in escrow of $8,000.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to return the escrow fund to the Walton Terrace Homeowners Association of $4,000.
Who will second?
Question, wasn't it Anthony Amoroso?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not, it's going to the homeowners association, not to him. I thought he put up the money.
Well, yes, I mean, we'll cut the check to Anthony, but it's for the homeowners association.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yep. Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Full aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 810 is the Sapphire Dam engineering proposal. So Colliers Engineering and Design have prepared a proposal regarding their professional services regarding the dam restoration at Lake Sapphire located in the town of Monroe. This is money that will be reimbursed to the town through the drainage district for Lake Sapphire. I have spoken to the HOA for Lake Sapphire, and I've had multiple emails with Andrew Featherstone from Colliers. Lake Sapphire is open to providing $60,000 for this year's, the 2025 tax year. And Andrew Featherstone said that this process would probably take anywhere between, I think it was 16 to 24 months from the time it starts. So the smaller portion of what this is, which is in the $70,000 range, would be applied in 2026. So I would like to make a well, I would like to approve it, but I can't make the motion because I need a motion also to, for me to sign it.
Which one do you want? I'll make the motion. Do them both?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I make a motion that we approve the proposal for professional services submitted by Colliers Engineering and Design, CTPC, doing business as Mazer Consulting Engineering and Land Surveying regarding a proposed dam restoration at Lake Sapphire, which is located in the town of Monroe.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Full aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Next up?
Well, do we have to now authorize you to sign it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Just a point on that, there's a recusal aspect where if the property owner, votes on something that directly affects them, we disclose, our properties yearly.
I have disclosed the fact that I own land across
Yes.
from the homeowners association this year. I actually stated that the property SBL is 24-1-88. So
Yes.
that's already been done.
I just said you did disclose it. However, there's a recusal aspect in our ethics code that I just wanted to bring to your attention. It's not like this motion is in jeopardy.
So I would like to make a motion authorizing the supervisor of the town of Monroe to sign the agreement with Colliers Engineering and Design CTPC, doing business as Mazer Consulting Engineering and Land Surveying, for a proposed dam restoration at Lake Sapphire, which is located in the town of Monroe.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Full aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Counsel, was there anything that I did incorrectly there?
It's your determination. If you feel you needed to recuse yourself, you make that determination. I'm not aware.
Yeah,
It's being brought up now, so I haven't been presented with the issue prior to right now.
No direct benefit for me. Okay. Item E11, Village of Monroe tax exemption request, items 3 and 4, salt, brush and weeds, Town of Monroe highway budget. The village has requested that the Town of Monroe consider exempting village residents from items 3 and 4 of the town highway budget. Council, would you explain this, which we do every year, regarding items 3 and 4?
Yeah, villages in a town can request that they be exempted from taxes within the villages for, there's 2 subdivisions of Highway Law 141. One concerns the purchase of equipment for the highway department, the other concerns snow removal. So you'll often see these requests, and pretty much the arguments are, we're the village, not the town, and the town's argument is typically, you need to use these roads to get in and out of the village, and, you benefit from the services, but there's opinions on both sides, but this is a request that's usually made by villages on an annual basis if they haven't been exempted, and that's what this is from Monroe.
Is this going to be a discussion right now where we can leave and think about it for budget talks, or is this something we're trying to vote on right now?
Trying to vote on it tonight.
So when I read the law, are you going to make the motion and then we have to second for discussion, or are we just, can I talk freely now?
Talk freely now.
Okay. I read the law after, we had emailed, and I was not aware of what they were, asking to be exempt from, because there'd been multiple village budget, requests. And it says that, it indicates highway districts, essentially. Is that something that you've ever, Pat, maybe looked into developing a plan with the village? Because when I had consulted Councilwoman Bingham, we do feel that obviously, village residents benefit from our maintenance of certain highly trafficked roads, like access points into the village. We wanted to just make sure that there is no redundancy of service, and if there was, is there a way to resolve that for them?
I'm not familiar with the law off the top of my head, or what number 3 and 4 are. So I would have to familiarize myself with it. And did you say something about brush and weeds?
Brush and weeds and salt.
Okay, I'm going to tell you that we probably have more village users of our compost facility at the town garage than we do have town employees, both Village of Harriman and the Village of Monroe. So that's just one thing that just popped into my head. So, and again, I've been around a little while, and I've never had anybody take consideration of discounting the taxes for the use of the roads, because who knows where they're going to travel on our roads. So it's hard to.
If they have their own highway department and DPW that are maintaining village roads, and the costs of employing those employees and the costs of, employing our employees, villages really just do get they're higher taxes, and villages are always higher taxes than towns. Right. And with our budget looking the way that it does, and the issues coming in, their taxes are going to be very high. So we just want to make sure, that we do our due diligence in investigating any redundancies. I know that they do absolutely benefit from your work and our highway department's work and services, but is there a way of identifying those and coming to some kind of districting agreement or something like that?
I would probably have to meet with council and discuss this further to see what the the legal
Yeah.
aspects are and stuff. But I can tell you that, as I think council said it, that a lot of their budget is, for their own thing, is the snow removal and also beautification. Villages focus a lot on beautification, and they do a fantastic job. The village guys are great. I work very closely with them, but some of the stuff is different than we would do. So
there was a practice previously where the village would request exemption from items 3 and items 4. Item 3 would be the maintenance of the equipment that you have to maintain the roads, and item 4 would be the actual snow plowing, the salting, and the clearance of shrubbery and brush from the
Right.
roads. And in the past, because the town of Monroe has buildings within the boundaries of the village of Monroe, which would then therefore require town residents to travel into the village of Monroe, the practice was to exempt them from one. So in the past, and I'm talking about like 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, they would be exempt from item 4. So my request is that we deny the exemption for item 3, but we approve the exemption for item 4.
Have a dollar amount?
I don't.
Yeah, could we
Yeah,
just,
we just got the tentative budget, that's why.
I would like to have,
It would probably be difficult to have a dollar amount right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like I
mean,
said, we just got the tentative budget.
I'm going to say it's probably somewhere in the area of about $300,000 or $400,000.
I would really want
You
more
gotta- you also-
information from you and
You also
your
have to
opinion.
understand that they don't take a helicopter into the village. They have to drive on our roads.
But just, I guess we're,
And we also have the same situation with county roads. You might not use a county road, but you're paying taxes for it. So,
don't we get paid a fee to subsume their responsibility to plow?
just for plowing.
just
Yeah.
for snow plowing
Yeah.
aspects is all
And,
that is.
So it's
and we
alleviate-
lose
alleviate a little.
money on it.
Okay, but there is, we don't lose, we lose less money that way. So that's what we're kind of, Councilwoman Hool had messaged us that she's happy to discuss this, and I had assumed that we were going to have an opportunity to hear sort of with facts and figures.
Right, as I said, I do not have that as of
Yeah.
right now.
So then
I've
here's
never-
what, let's move on. I'll make a motion, I'll rescind that motion, and I'll make a motion that we table this to October 7th, 2024.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Hingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Well, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Item 9.1 is the petition for the zoning amendments relating to the HI district of Monroe Commons. The planning board had issued their findings just before our last meeting, so I'm open to whatever anyone wants to do.
I think it should be, present their case as to why Monroe Commons, they finished the seeker. We got the letter from the planning board. So I think we should make the zoning text amendments.
Make that motion?
I'll make a motion that,
You have a resolution, in the packet. You don't have to read it. I'm just saying that the board, there should be a resolution in there. It's the option of a local.
Probably.
bring it up on board docs?
The actual,
I don't know if you're on board docs or
Yeah.
you just have paper packets. It's the last item on board docs in this
finding
item.
statement is our
The
last.
item-
Oh, no, there it is, the resolution.
Yeah, all the way down, sorry.
I will read the resolution. Mary, you want to read it since you're closer?
Yes, I can
Please-
read it. I need
please.
to know what
Thank you.
local law and number it will be.
It'll be local law number 7 of 2024.
Okay. Resolution adopting local law number 7 of 2024 regarding amending Chapter 57 zoning, Section 57-10, Schedule of District Regulations, and 57-47, Method of Determining Off-Street Parking Requirements, and adopting secret findings in connection with the amendments. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Monroe, Town Board, from time to time reviews its laws, rules, and regulations to be certain the same are consistent with all current lawful practices as well as best practices to protect the health, safety, and welfare of town residents. And whereas the Town Board desires to adopt a local law amending Chapter 57 zoning, Sections 57-10, Schedule of District Regulations, and 57-47, method of determining off-street parking requirements, local law, and whereas Monroe, Nininger...
Councilwoman, and if you want to read this, you're
I
absolutely
love
free to.
it. It's really good.
If you do want to read anything, it would just be the be it resolved if we scroll down.
You should do audiobooks.
See, that would be a
I
lot
was
of
doing
reading
very
there.
well. But you're right, there's a lot of whereas.
Right there.
So soothing,
Yeah.
6
Yeah, you can do it
pages of
just starting at
soothing.
section
Yes.
1 as the motion.
Okay, now therefore be it resolved that by the town board as follows. Section 1, all whereas paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference as through set forth in full. Section 2, the town board hereby adopts the seeker finding statements as adopted by the planning board on August 20th, 2024. Section 3, the town board hereby adopts local law number 7 of 2024 entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 57 Zoning, Section 57-10, Schedule of District Regulations, and 57-47, Method of Determining Off-Street Parking Requirements in the form presented to the town board. Section 4, the town clerk is hereby directed to enter said local law into the minutes of this meeting and in the local law book of the town of Monroe, and to give due notice of the adoption of said local law by filing the local law in the office of the Secretary of State in the state of New York. Section 5, the town supervisor and any officer, employee, or consultant as directed by the town supervisor is hereby authorized to take any and all actions necessary to carry out the provisions of this resolution. Section 6, this resolution shall be effective immediately.
Second.
Discussion? Do you want to go first or down the line? Do you have any comments? Anybody?
Call the question.
No, I just said discussion, so I was just making sure no one else had any comments. So I got a lot of emails on this. There's a lot of public attention on this after the SECR was closed because it was done so in November in a time when, the holiday season is starting and people saw that and did not realize that this has been in front of the planning board for 7 years. So this is an interesting one where, given my reputation that I want to preserve open space, that I want to preserve wetlands, that I want to preserve the most that we could do, I was very concerned at the size of this and the aspects of this until I was able to watch prior planning board meetings and see them address very interestingly and carefully my concerns. In this case, it's difficult because here I'm sitting as a council member where, this development I know is going to bring a large amount of traffic to across the high school, on Nininger, all in that area, and some of the findings for traffic are not where we want. I've consulted, planning board members and council members over in Woodbury, where it will be really heavily trafficked, and we're going to be working almost as a relay with their planning board because it is split between our two districts. So this is a really intricate project, and I was given these documents when this public hearing was opened, 2 weeks ago. And I'm glad we tabled it, but I have had no access to consultants to assuage my concerns in any manner, and had to do this completely alone, and thank all of the people in the community, who have been a resource in other towns, and the people involved with the project themselves. So traditionally, everyone's reaction in Monroe is to say, we don't want this, we don't want more traffic, but every landowner under the current zoning is entitled to a certain amount of density. They are entitled to build a relatively large commercial development. And what we're doing here is, in my opinion, and after speaking with many, many people, making changes that will limit the lot coverage in certain ways. I am unhappy that the planning board didn't, in their SECRA, do a comparison with the current zoning. What they did, in my review, was do a comparison between no build and this build, and not a direct environmental impact study where I could see the benefits studied right there in front of me with results between what the current zoning is and why we would do this zone change. So I had to do my research on that very independently. And what I found is that even though that was not included in the environmental impact study for Woodbury, now it's a process, and for everyone to take that, baton from us in this relay, there are aspects along the way that were specifically designed and studied, not as a whole, but in sections, because it was almost specifically designed alongside with our planning board to be the least impactful that it could. So it's difficult, and I think that by voting on this and approving this, what would have been and what this will be, really, it's either a slight difference in traffic increase, like 5 to 10%, or it's really a non-issue at all. But I really would have appreciated to be able to sit down with our planning firm, our consultants on this, and I'm disappointed that this was given to us so late, and that certain documents were not available to us to make the most informed decision provided by the town rather than outside entities.
Okay, can we, question?
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Full aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Pat, you want to talk about Bald Hill, one last addition?
Yeah, so last meeting, we talked about Bald Hill, and I had some concerns with street names. So I did meet with LIPA, and he contacted the county, and they did change the name of the one of the roads to make it so there was a differentiation of the roads between town and private, public and private road. I also told him my concern with the cul-de-sac, because I did not see a plan. I reviewed the plans, and we do own a section of the cul-de-sac with a maintenance agreement on the other half of the cul-de-sac, because future roads might be on their development. So I'm satisfied with the answers that I received. As I said, County 911 approved the changes to the road name, and I would request the board approve LIPA's road names, is what I would do.
You have a copy of it?
I don't have a copy of it with me. I thought that he gave them to the board, to be honest with you.
Sorry, so was the change that I missed it, the change that you suggested down the center of each road was
No, it's
amended?
When you go into the development, Winery Woods Road, it came to an intersection, and that's where it stopped, at that intersection between public and private. I didn't want our street name to be the same as the private one, because it's hard to tell somebody, go to
And that was
here.
addressed?
That was
Okay.
addressed. So I am satisfied with the answers that 911 gave him.
Right. Wasn't the name changed to like Winery Road Circle?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what the
that's
new
what it
name
is.
is. Ours is
Okay.
Winery Woods Road, and his is Winery Woods Road Circle now.
So
Okay.
when the
So-
supervisor comes back with the list of road names.
Right.
I actually
we
pulled
can-
them
There
up
it is.
there.
Oh, okay.
Ah, look at that.
We have it.
Yes.
Okay.
So the Winery Woods Road is going to be hours going in, and then it's going to turn into Winery Woods Road Circle after that on the private end of it. And then these are going to be all of the streets that are going to be off of that circle, I'll call it. But when I say circle, it's a development.
I'm kind of disappointed there's no Vin Rosé.
Maybe that's they're saving that for the when they expand.
Are we voting on this right now?
But we have our supervisor coming back.
So Val was able to bring it up, Supervisor, and it's Winery Woods Road, as I just explained, our section, then it turns into Winery Woods Road Circle, is what it turns into on the private road. So,
They can't like change it to a completely different name?
What about Winery Woods Circle? It just, why would you say road and then circle?
he got this approved through the county 911 system approved
That seems
this.
like, well,
Redundant.
But-
Does seem redundant.
It does.
Winery
Yeah.
Woods
A
Road
road and a
Right.
circle.
I would do Winery Woods Circle,
Yeah.
but let's just call 911, right? That's how we get a hold of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
All right,
If you want to approve these hinging on that name,
yeah.
we could probably do that.
Yeah,
too.
so I'll approve these hinging on that name and approval by council.
I don't need to approve anything on that.
Yeah, you want to
No.
switch to a different?
I think we should change
You
the
either
other
like
one
it or
to
you don't.
the request that Mary had.
Yeah.
What is it?
Vin
Pin-
Rosé.
Yeah.
Rosé. I mean, yeah.
But they-
Winery Circle.
Yeah,
I
all right,
think
all right,
so.
Winery Circle, that's
Winery
fine.
Circle.
All right. So we'll approve those names. I'll make a motion to approve those names as stated. Winery Woods Road, Cabernet Lane, Merlot Lane, Malbec Lane, Moscato Road, Chalk Hill Lane, Geffen Lane, Alexander Lane, Concord Lane, Mayhem Lane, and Winery Circle.
Bingham will second.
Stop DWI check.
Yeah, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Pancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Well, aye.
That's acceptable. We don't need to run it through them again now that we changed this.
As I said, it's hinging on him changing that to what we want. So I'll have
So
him
it can
get
just
it
be
approved.
any different name.
I'm
We don't
gonna-
have
I'm
to
gonna-
wait.
It's that one.
I'm going to request that he makes it Winery Circle.
Did we make a motion for conditional approval upon?
Yes.
Yeah, we
Okay.
did.
Aye. I didn't hear what you said.
Well, that's because you got to listen. Okay, move on. Public comment?
So I have two residents signed up. The first name is Michael Sommer. After Michael Sommer is Ray Hughes. Just a reminder, you'll have 3 minutes for public comment.
Actually, since this was about a public hearing, I'll give you 5 tonight, if need be. Okay. Yeah, just state your name, where you live. Oh, wait till you get up to the mic. Go ahead.
My name is Ray Hughes. I'm at 54 High Ridge Road.
Thank you for being here.
A couple of questions about the MHE engineering here. This is this one was revised in August. The numbers are, I understand we definitely want, and we understand what needs to be done, but the numbers are so perfectly round, 75,000, 50,000, 125. Are these not to exceed numbers for the job?
Speak into the mic, please.
Talk into the mic,
Please
please.
talk into the mic. Thank you.
Did you hear what I said?
I did, but I don't think the public heard, and I'd like
Okay,
the
yeah.
residents of Hyde.
I wanted to find out about the numbers themselves, if they are not to exceed numbers in contracts, have there already been bids on this, or, and also, what would be the process? Is this to be amortized over a certain number of years?
What,
And how many years
what-
would that
what's
be?
going to happen is we'll go out and we'll bond it,
Right,
and it'll be amortized over 30 years.
30 years.
I think the amount that I figured out at the last meeting over 30 years at like 1.6 million was at a 5% interest rate was like $711 a year per user.
I think the people on High Ridge Road will be very happy to hear that part. We weren't sure, and I've spoken to so many of the people, we weren't sure about how long that was going to be.
Yeah, you're not going to get,
and
you're
just
not
how much of a hit it was going to cost.
yeah, you're not going to get hit 1 year or 5 years.
We thought 5 or 10.
Yeah.
So we weren't sure about that.
So I'd like to answer a couple of the questions
Yes,
too.
go ahead.
So right now, we have not done an RFP yet. We have not done a scope of work yet.
Right.
We were trying to get estimated numbers. So, and we still have to put that together. We won't know for sure exactly what it's going to be until they finish the scope of work. Now, the scope of work just changed because it's going to save you a lot of money going with this pre-manufactured building. So we're hoping that that's going to be cheaper, and they still have to get, they still have to put something together and go out to bid on it. There is a bid process, and they will go out to bid.
Do you know at this point what the square footage is of the new building?
We do not know that yet, but in my meeting was, I'm one of the type that says, well, what about if we need to add another filter 10 years down the line? Do we have capacity to fit that filter? And the answer is we're going to be able to. We're not going to make a Taj Mahal. We are going to make something that will accommodate another filter in case we ever have to do that.
So that was part of what we were concerned about, is if the square footage is, the building isn't known at this point, how do we know that about the insulation factor and such if we don't know how many, if we don't know the size
an
of
estimate.
the buildings
Yeah,
that are insulated?
everything is
It's an estimate.
preliminary at this point.
Got it.
So, and that's the reason why I think that you haven't had true numbers yet because
Everything has to be properly sized in order
Right.
to make a determination as to how big the structure needs to be.
Right.
You
So
know?
that's why we were like, why are these numbers?
Because they
They're
reference to
round.
the new pumps
Yeah.
Yeah.
as a pump skid, and that will be determined by the size of the pumps that we need to provide the water for that district.
So the numbers are round because it's just completely an estimate, probably padded
These are preliminary numbers.
Yeah.
Because
Right, there's
we don't have
for
like,
safety.
a certain pump that we're using yet. It's all in the design stages
Very good.
at
And
this point.
by October, the next meeting, October 21st, we would have an updated, revised list of
the
numbers.
engineer,
It still won't be final, we
right,
understand. but
yes, because you have to still go out to bid on it later on, but the engineer is working hard to try and get everything ready, so we have preliminary numbers for that October meeting. So,
One of the other things I'd like to mention is the fact that we're going to go take a site visit one day to a neighboring municipality that actually has this structure in place to see, how it's built and, get an idea of what we're looking at here.
Right, and what their
Absolutely.
advantages and drawbacks are.
Right.
Yes.
so we will make sure, John and I will make sure that this building will make you happier. I'll tell you that. And be consistent, if you have a second floor, consistent on your second floor is what my goal is, because I know what it's like to take a shower on a second floor and have a dribble of water coming out because you don't have the pressure to do that. So, a consistent pressure.
Especially for a tall guy like yourself.
Yeah.
He's right there at the shower head opening, so it's better.
This is true. One other thing was the PFAS that you mentioned.
Yes.
Is this what causes our water to be black sometimes, or have a black, greasy
No,
residue?
no, it is such a minute thing in there that you would
Microparticles.
never, ever notice it.
Then
It's-
can you tell me, what is it in our water at this point that's causing this black,
Age,
just age of the
Of the
pipes?
pipes?
age of the
Aging
pipes.
Because
yes.
I work in a 98-year-old building,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't have that. We have issues when we have a pump go down and come back on, the inside of the pipe will sometimes clog,
Right.
some issue, but never that black residue.
Age of pipes, and John has been
I've
doing
been out
his
there flushing
flushing.
the water system. As a matter of fact, in the next week or two, I will be back in Water District 1 flushing the system once again. It's recommended by the County Health Department to do it in the spring and in the fall. And I also implemented another flushing during the summer months. So we're doing it 3 times a year at this current point.
Got it.
And please sign up for Constant Contact if you're not already, and we will assure you that we're going to put flushing schedule. Like if we know we're going to be flushing, you'll get the Constant Contact saying that we're going to be flushing out there.
You walk out of this building on the left, right in front of the clerk's office,
Right.
the little window, there's a sign-up sheet on the table for Constant Contact.
That's fine. Well, thank you.
Our motto is communication is key, so anything we can get out to you ahead of time so you're not like, what the heck are they doing? We try and do that.
And the other thing is, our door is open, anytime
Yes.
you want to come and discuss something in regards to the water.
If you would like to, here's 4 cards. I have more if other people would like them. But give us a call if you're available. We'll meet with you. We'll show you. We'll take you in that little building. We'll do what we have to do to
So you see
to
what it's
assure
all
you.
about,
So.
All right, anyone else? Okay, I'll make a motion to go into executive session at 8:50.
State the reason, Supervisor.
What's that?
Reason, just state the reason.
Personnel
Yeah, an attorney-client advice.
and attorney-client. Okay, call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Ready, Val? Ready, George? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to return to the September 16th regular meeting.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, after discussion, there are no motions to be made, and I'd like to make a motion, well, no motions to be made from executive session, but I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved.